I just, whatever word jumps into my head at that moment, that's the word I start with. By the time the first word is on the paper, I have the second word is ready. By the time that's there, maybe I have a sentence, and maybe it changes as I go. So it's a spontaneous literary process. I invent the words as I go along, and that means there are no mistakes because I decide. And it also means that the whole sentence needs to be finished when the composition is finished. So I have to finish two things at once, the composition on the page and the language. And that's the trick usually, to get it all to work out. But I like that. I like the risk that involves, that you can work for several hours and then still totally mess it up.
Mm-hmm. And about you, before you talk about the full puzzle that it's composed by tools, paper, ink, and so on. These things also is part of your process of composition, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
The flowing that you have with the words and the shapes is to the flow of these components. Is it possible?
Well, yeah. I think the mood would dictate the choice of a certain pen. And from there, as I said before, certain shapes would flow. But it's amazing, even if I try to do the same thing again, it never is.
Mm-hmm.
It always evolves into something else. Sometimes it's slight evolutions, and sometimes it's really big ones. And I think for me, it's really important to be surprised with what's happening. And that's why maybe I only make a dozen or so pieces in a style before moving on to something else, because by then the novelty is wearing off and I need to find something where the risk returns, and I have to try to dig up something to create something I haven't done before.
Is the thing that you told before, that you love edges?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I love edges.
You
yes,
work
I mean, that's true.
the edges of the risk when you write.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ivan Castro says that he have to say that when he started to do calligraphy in the 19, Brody was one of my heroes, and I think that now Brody is definitely his heroes.
Oh, thank you.
Super Brody, yes.
Thank you.
I kept looking at his work with Peter Greenway constantly. I don't know about it. Can you talk about this kind of works? Because I have interviewed Massimo Polello.
Yes.
Also worked with you in another project.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Well, I mean, an important ingredient, as important as anything else that happened to me, and thank goodness it happened at the beginning, was meeting Greenaway to work for Prospero's books, because the one thing that he was asking, nobody else was asking, and that is, what does all this mean? What can we do with this writing that will mean something? Okay. In our meaning as a work of art in our times. So it was easy to say what it meant in the Middle Ages or in the Renaissance or whatever, but why would you possibly want to write italic in the 20th century, or now in the 21st century? What makes you want to do this historical thing?
Okay.
And since my background was English calligraphy, it was very much a historical kind of thing we were doing. Well, by transferring this whole process to film, he gave it a new level of meaning, which it wouldn't have on paper. So I call that a transfer process. When you take calligraphy and put it somewhere where you don't expect it, in other words, take it off paper, put it on something else, put it in metal, put it on textile, put it on skin, put it in a film, you get something by that transfer. And so that meant that I could do historical calligraphy, but it was in a film, so it changed. And it also, Greenaway was asking me to do historical calligraphy, but with obviously more juice, more vitality, some more graphic strength, a lot more ink and splatters. So I learned a lot from him, but I just mainly learned that calligraphy could possibly be part of a sort of conceptual art process.
Sure. I think listening you looks like that you are always searching something new challenge for put on the edge the basic of calligraphy and
Yeah.
apply them. It's very
Well,
interesting.
this is because I had this agony of trying to be an artist at a certain point,
And
and that didn't work. So,
yes, but I think that you have this concept of the line. You talk a lot of the line. What is the line
mhm,
for you? What represents this
mhm.
concept of the line that is used by you very often?
Mm. Well, okay, so we have this grid, right?
Okay.
And it's served us very well. It gives us very clear, functional communication. It
Hmm.
made printing possible. It's easy to learn compared to Chinese, compared to
Yeah.
hieroglyphs, compared even to Arabic. Very easy to learn. And when you look at it, forgive me, folks, it's boring. So if you look at a page of a printed book, marvelous. I mean, the letters can be sublimely beautiful, but if you actually ask yourself, what's the aesthetic experience of this compared to a Chinese page or whatever, you think this isn't, there's not a lot in it that thrills me. And that would be fine if we simply looked at it as a functional tool for communication. But I don't. I mean, I'm looking at it as something to satisfy my emotional life, to challenge me, and maybe, with any luck, someday to make a work of art out of this thing. But it would, so you have conceptual artists, they make works of art by using simple typography most of the time. And that's fine as far as it goes, except the value of it is almost purely in the idea. The aesthetic aspect is stripped away in order to reveal pure idea. Well, I can't go there either because up until now my head is still stuck on my body. So there's all of me here, not just this brain. And all of it needs to be engaged and to be satisfied as it is when I see a great painting. So if the challenge is make something on the level of a painting that thrills and excites your eyes, then the grid's not going to be enough for me.
Okay.
And that's why the line became exciting and important because that's where the formal creation happens. You create new shapes,
I have a
and
question.
that's the.
I have a question that a girl sent to us by
Mhm.
Federica Zingaro. She asked if you have some artistic influence, I think outside of the calligraphy, obviously, in your journey.
Mhm.
Okay, and if yes, which one? Which was?
Oh yeah, plenty, plenty. Obviously, all historical art
Okay.
has always been vastly important to me. I think as far as the ambition and the struggle to do something contemporary, it probably goes back to looking at works of art in museums by three artists, Rothko, Pollock, and Twombly, and for years and years absolutely loathing them,
Okay.
thinking what could that possibly be worth? And then all of a sudden something in me said, oh, you're in denial here, Brody. Overcome this barrier in your soul and see what's in front of you and see why these are wonderful things. And by doing that, it opened up a lot of possibilities for what the line could do, what the pure shape could do, what I would like to say with Rothko, what minimalism can do, but I've never been very good at that. But especially with Twombly, what I see there is somebody who's using shape. He's using line, a lot of texture as well, but he's using line, which becomes letter or doesn't, becomes something else. Letters become words or they fail to become words. You can start to read or fail to read. So he's on this edge between I'm letting you in or I'm not letting you in. Or how much work will you do to get in here? Are you willing to engage with this? And then with all of that, the thing that started to become exciting was actually watching how we read. So in the things I've posted that I call Yellow Submarine, each one of those letters is an attempt to rethink that letter, but within enough boundaries of what that letter normally is for you to be able to recognize it if you just try a little bit. And sometimes it means you have to recognize it in the context of the word, or sometimes you just can see it for itself. Ah, yes, that's an E, or oh, it's an E because it's in the word keep, or something. And that process of searching and trying to figure out means that you become a kind of decoder of the piece. And so I call that a kind of semiotics of reading. You actually you feel yourself learning to read again. And it makes that experience that we all do transparently and without feeling it. Reading for us, we don't sense it anymore. We just do it. But when you have to decode something, then suddenly you feel the wheels of your brain turning, and you can begin to understand how it is that you recognize and decode the things you're seeing. And since actually we do that all day long, every day, in every human encounter, we have to decode gestures, facial expressions, clothing, situations. We're always having to do that to understand a situation.
Brody, is always incredible talking with you and listen. Your point of view are really incredible.
Okay, well.
Oh, really? Because you say things that I say, yes, it's right. Why I don't think it before? Okay, it's incredible.
Well, yeah. I don't know if I'm always very good company for myself, but
Okay.
it makes it. I think the main thing is I try to be as ambitious for the field of calligraphy as possible.
Okay. Another question, and because we have few times, because after 1 hour Instagram close all.
Oh, okay.
Instagram is a little bit Nazi, sorry. Anyway, you are so famous also for your strange tools. You are
Yeah.
so powerful tools maker. And
Yeah.
please let us know if you have favorite tools and some particular tools that you invented, for example.
Well, there's not that many, really. The first one that I learned to love was the quill pen, and I still find it an unbelievably versatile tool, both from the most formal and precise kind of writing to really expressive, what I call, what do I call it? I forget. Where the quill is actually destroyed in the process of writing because you just abused quill technique, I call it. But then the cola pen, I did not invent. That was invented by a calligrapher in America called Bill Hildebrand, and I learned it from him, learned how to make it from him, and then started giving it to all of my students. So for, gosh, 30 years, maybe 25 years, I've been giving them in their thousands away. So I'm sort of John the Baptist to his being Jesus in this one. And then there's the comb pen that I use, making lice combs, which again, that was something a student brought one to a workshop in Switzerland, and it was actually it was an Indonesian wooden comb, and it was wonderful. But then I improved it a little bit by using a finer tooth comb. What else? And then there's this hand rhythmic pen, which is a very luxurious. It's the kind of Ferrari ruling pen, which I like for certain kinds of marks. So, and then a pointed brush. Let's see, what else do I use besides that? My fingers, sometimes. Yeah, or the wrong end of the brush. I like Chinese brushes, but only for large and very gestural work.
Yes. You need to have the space around for use.
Yeah, that's right.
In correct way. Amazing. And my last serious question, because after we do a little game with a stupid question, but we also that. And is your favorite calligrapher? You have some calligrapher that you love in a particular way?
Well.
Or that inspiring you?
The number, but can he be dead or does he have to be alive?
What you want?
Well, one of my favorites is this 19th century Moroccan calligrapher called Al-Kanduzi. You can find his work online. It's A-L and then Q-A-N-D-U-S-I, Kanduzi. He was the most obvious, I mean, just judging from his calligraphy, the most eccentric man imaginable. He used shapes that are so rich and so sculptural and so contemporary. You'd think that he had designed the Coca-Cola logo, but he didn't, because he's 100 years too early for it. When I saw this, I realized, you know, a composition on a flat sheet, and not even a large sheet, could fulfill all the requirements of a really great work of art. So he's been a huge inspiration.
Okay, that's all?
Oh gosh, no. But I mean, I don't always know the names of the calligraphers. The designer of the great carpet page of the Book of Kells, obviously the most flexible and imaginative use of Western letters before the modern age.
Okay.
The great calligraphers of Chinese history, and then those strange eccentric things that are just throwaway things, awkward, primitive, crazy, unschooled letters. And I think that's an interesting thing that what would have been primitive or perhaps just rough and crude then, we appreciate now for being honest and powerful.
Yes, okay, because are more letters from the soul, okay,
Yeah.
without influence are...
Yeah, or sometimes just struggling to do something and not doing it well is a good thing in itself. As Chesterton said, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. So that's one of my mottos to live by.
Okay. Before starting the silly game, I wanted to tell you an episode that generate one thing so much important for my calligraphy community. And during your workshop last year, okay, a girl, after you watch her sheets, said, "Oh, Brody, not thanks, say thank." In Italiano is carro armato, okay? From that time, we start to say, "Oh, carro armato, you are so kind." You are the generator of the carro armato.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
It's
good to
very
leave
important.
something behind.
Thank
like
you,
that.
Brody, for give us a carro armato. Anzi, carro armato, Brody.
Grazie a lei.
Okay, and now we start with the game. The game is a close answer. You have to say done, not done. Easy.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start, because we have 10 minutes. Let's start.
Okay.
Quickly. Italic.
Done.
Okay. Drunk letters.
Done.
Also drunk calligraphy, I think.
Done a lot.
Okay. From now, I close social media and phone.
Okay.
You done? You did it?
Oh, this is one of the questions. Oh,
Yeah.
Would like to do. Have not yet done.
Okay, you will do. Workshop online.
Not done. So far.
Starting from tomorrow, I don't write anymore.
Not done.
Okay. And forgot letter and see that at the end of the composition.
Done. Done. Yeah. Lots of times. Yeah.
And the last, but the most important question that I do to every person that came, my guest at the Letterman show, is the love during the coronavirus time.
Done.
You are my baby. You know it. Mr. Brody, what I can say? We have done? Done?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Very
want
good.
to thank you a lot for being here. You was amazing as usual. And wait a minute. Let's start with the music. Whoop. Okay. You're
Okay, well, thank you
amazing.
very much.
As usual, I want to thank you so much, Carlo Armato. And if you want to say something, this is your time. If not,
Well, I suppose my message is thank you everybody for listening to all this crazy, rather intellectual talk about letters. I think the point is to go out and just do something you haven't done before. Make letters unpredictable, make them exciting, and make them live.
amazing. Brody, thanks a lot. Stay safe. It's
Yes.
important. Stay safe, you and your family. And Italy love you, and everybody loves Brody Neuenschwander.
Okay,
Amazing.
thank you very much, Ricardo. Bye-bye.
See you next time on Monday, and my guest will be the wonderful Amity Parks. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay home. Ciao ragazzi, grazie. Buon weekend.